I'm just going to start before we say it. I'm going to say this again. Make sure that you don't start your Seder before it's time. This week we're davening early, and Kiddush has to be made when it's already Vadei Laila. It's important that that be taken care of. Oh, Simcha, you're back. Okay. Nice to see you. All right. How are you, Ron? Okay, look at all these people that I know from the old country.
Right.
All right. This year we're going through Yetzias Mitzrayim. Hopefully, Mirz Hashem will make it to the Beis HaMikdash. I think that we all have a special yearning, a special bondage that we feel. And Mirz Hashem, we should be zeicha to be released from where we are. I think that we feel that we're really in bondage, actually locked up, so to speak. That's what we think. That's what we are. All right. I'm going to start right now, I guess. I don't know, not time yet. All right. I'd like to start the, okay, very nice. I'd like to start the subject of the Hagadah. Beforehand, I'd like to speak a little bit about chametz and matzah. We don't need much of an introduction of what's chametz and matzah. We all know what it is, but there's a significance that we know that chametz is gaiva and matzah is anava. And we all know that. That's a symbolism of the Seder, and the chametz, even one little drop. I think that this is very corona-oriented. The fact that people who have just one little drop of gaiva can ruin them, so to speak. All you need is one little germ of corona, and it could destroy the world, so to speak. Hashem yirachem v'yirachem aleinu. So we don't want to have any gaiva. And I just was thinking about this today, that there is a very interesting parallel. When I was a kid, I remember I saw once a bumper sticker which made a very strong impression on me. The bumper sticker said, "Ignore your teeth, they'll go away." So, doesn't take much to ruin your teeth. All you have to do is nothing, right? That was the point. If you're not going to take care of your teeth, you're not going to have any teeth. What happens to a person if he doesn't work on his midah of gaiva? I'll just mention my mother, Allah b'shalom, she told me once, she said that you should be careful that you're not a bal gaiva. So the older you get, naturally people become bigger bali gaiva. So you better start working on it from when you're young. And she used to keep me in check. That was part of her job as my mother. And people tend to neglect this idea that you have to work on your gaiva. Chaim Kanevsky wrote about this corona disease, that people have to work on their midah of anava. If you leave the bread just sit around, it will become chametz. In order to keep it to be an anav, you have to work on it. You have to punch yourself. You have to beat yourself. You have to make sure that you are low in your own eyes. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The significance of Leil HaSeder, here we are, and we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for taking us out of Avdus, and we understand that we don't deserve that which has happened to us. That's part of the idea of the Leil HaSeder. We have chametz all year, and Leil HaSeder we have matzah. The Barlowy Bells explains the Shebechol Haleilos Anu Ochlim Chametz Umatzah. So obviously you could eat whatever you want. What's the significance of eating Chametz Umatzah? What does he need to say? So Rabbi Barlowy Bells tells us that Chametz is naturally, you just leave things alone and people become Bali Gaiva, and that's normal. But to be able to eat the matzah, the anava, the nahama, the bread of Emunah, the only way that we can eat it all year long is only because we're empowered from Leil HaSeder for the rest of the year. The lechem emunah that we eat on Leil HaSeder has to carry us from Tavshin Pei to Tavshin Pei Aleph. So we have to realize that we have to feel small, and the smaller we feel and more grateful we feel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the Leil HaSeder, and Mitzvah Hashem, the more we will have a koyach to have indeed emunah throughout the year. There are many stories told about tzaddikim and their anova. I think I said over once in shul the story about the tzaddik that his wife bit off the pitum of the esrog, and he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have no money, I have no esrog, and you want me not to have shalom bayis? So that's a wonderful story. But there's a story that I feel there's a tension in Leil HaSeder that I would like to share with you before we get to all the aspects of the Leil HaSeder. We want to have our Seder table beautiful. We want to put out, like the Maril says, all of our dishes. We want to have it a table set for a king. We want it to be prominent, important, and we should feel like we're in charge, so to speak, that we are running our Seder, that we are truly kings. The problem is, what happens when the kid spills the wine? What happens when a dish breaks? What happens when someone throws up at the table? Just think of things that happen on Leil HaSeder all the time. If you're going to put out things that you're going to really be upset about on Leil HaSeder, you're not going to be acting very kingly. I'd like to share with you a story which I think will put everybody in perspective. It put me very much in perspective, and I hope to behave properly this year by Leil HaSeder. There was this Yid in Yerushalayim, was a big tzaddik, and he never got angry. His wife was as big a tzaddik as him, and they never got angry, and they did everything what they could to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A whole year they saved up, and they put away things for Leil HaSeder, and came Seder night, the husband went to shul, and the wife sat down by her gorgeous Seder table with the matzahs and the maror and the chareses and everything, and she was really enjoying it. And when she got up, her foot kicked the table, and these poor people, their table collapsed, and the whole Seder night was spoiled. All the food, all the dishes, everything. And this tzaddik is walking home, and he's so excited to come to the Seder. He walks in, and he sees his wife on the floor crying, and he sees everything broken, and he puts his head down, and he says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm sorry. And his wife says, what are you sorry about? So he says, if I wouldn't have deserved this, this wouldn't have happened. Who caused his Seder to be ruined? He caused his Seder to be ruined. That's the approach of a tzaddik. So when you're at the Leil HaSeder and the people aren't behaving the way that you would like to, put your head down and say, it's my fault. Okay. Anyways, I think that that's a nice place to start for Leil HaSeder. We start the Seder with Kadesh, and then we have Karpas. The Orchatz is just to get to Karpas. Karpas, maybe we'll discuss tomorrow night. There's a question why there's no bracha set on this significant minhag. According to many, there actually should be a bracha on it. And Karpas is really a teaser. We know that in halacha, a person who eats like a fruit in the beginning of the meal, one doesn't make a bracha on it. The reason why you don't make a bracha on it is because it's called an appetizer, right? That's, Naftali, how do you say that in Hebrew? An appetizer? You're on mute. אתה צריכים למעלה. תעשה שיכול לדבר.
מעורר תיאבון.
מעורר תיאבון, that's it. מעורר תיאבון. Right? A person eats your Vorspeise to get you hungry, and then we go into overdrive on a long Seder. This is not the time to have your gorer tavon. You should have it before you're eating. And here you have it so far in advance. Obviously, this is not a mistake. So I saw somebody who says something which is amazing. People and this is important, I'm saying this at this time, and so to speak, I'm screaming. The people who went through the camps, they said that it's unbelievable. Even in the camps, they became a rhythm of life. People took the camps as a normal thing. This is what we do. You wake up and you go to work and you have all the terrible things that happen in the concentration camps. It became a routine and they lived with it. If I would have told you 2 weeks ago that you would be living today like you live today, you would, I don't know, you'd probably lock me up, something like that. And here we are getting into a rhythm of a no life. Basically, that's what we're waiting for. We're like people in jail waiting for our term to be ended so that we can move on with life. That's where we are. And we're trying to get used to that. We're not supposed to be trying to get used to it. And if somebody stops to remind you, do you remember when you used to be able to walk around the block without having to be worried you're going to get arrested? Right? It's like people could take it for granted. You're only 100 yards in front of your house. That's the only you're allowed to go. So here we have a situation. Klal Yisrael is working and working and working. And the person has to realize that you're an Eved and you want to have to go to free. So what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Klal Yisrael, whets their appetite, and tells them, you're going free. He sparked a fire in their hearts that they want to go free. And they had a yearning. And then the amazing thing happens, it starts to fall apart. They come to Paro, we want to go out, and Paro slams them and says, you guys are dreaming about getting out of here? No way. And he makes them work harder. Nirpim, hey, Nirpim, your people are just bored. You have nothing to talk about, so you speak about freedom. I'll give you so much work to do, they won't have any time to have any freedom at all. And indeed, because of that, they didn't have any time for anything, even to hear when Moshe came the second time. But inside their stomachs, it was already churning. Already was churning this desire that they realize that they're a nation, they have to move on, they have to go to Eretz Yisrael, to the Geula, and that's what Karpas symbolizes. We have a little bit to get us going, but it's just a tease. It's just a tease. The kids say that, oh, can I have some more Karpas, those potatoes and salt? That's very good. I know perhaps you could have an onion. That's really good stuff. And you say, no, you have to wait to eat till later. And there's a amount of, you have to hold yourself back that they're busy with. And this is the idea, part of the idea of Karpas. Later on in the Hagadah, and I'm just trying to put this together, we say that Paro was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's V's'eis asher hisalalti b'Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mitolel. Mitolel, I guess you'd say in English, we fooled around with them. You know, I don't know, somebody want to translate that into English? Yechiel, how do you say that? You don't know. Okay. Ari, what do you have to say? Okay, at least my English is no worse than
abuse.
What?
They use it for abuse commonly.
Yeah, but it's not. Maybe. But anyways, and it means okay. Is that a good? That's a dictionary. That's a translation. What is that?
It's modern Hebrew. It's not. I don't know if it's accurate.
No, that's modern Hebrew is not going to be good. Anyways.
Art school, Hagadah.
Art school. That'll do the job. Okay. So, anyways, I think we all know what litolel means. So I saw a mushal. And this mashal is an amazing thing. Here we have, just think about this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Mitzrayim and he says, Paro, who is the king of the world, let my people go. Now, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to me and he said, you know, maybe you do this for me, you know what I'd feel? I'd feel empowered. I'd feel empowered. You know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs my permission. It must be that I'm a maker and shaker over here. I can do something. Right? So he says, no, I'm not letting you go. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him a makkah. Put yourself in Paro's shoes. And now Moshe comes back. Can we leave now? What would you think? He has more reason to believe that he's really the one that has the say, or less, than before the first Makkah. Mark, you have an answer? No? What do you say? Renan, what do you say? What do you say? Paro is asked by Hakadosh Baruch Hu, please let my nation go. And Paro says, no. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu gives him a makkah. So now he says, okay, now I took away the makkah. Now let them go. So you think that Paro feels more empowered or less empowered?
I think more empowered. He feels like he's holding over God some kind
More
of.
That's right. No, there's a real power struggle going on. Who is really the one in charge? Right? We read this story because we know the end that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really the one in charge. And I'm sure if you were there right now, you'd be watching this ping pong match. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says this way, and Paro says that way, and he checks it out. You are right, you're not right. There's a game going on, so to speak, between Paro and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Paro would really believe that it's not going to happen unless he lets it happen. Who's the maker and shaker of this whole thing? Paro. This is a very novel idea for us that we read the end of the book before we read the beginning. You know what I mean? We know what really happened. But if you were there, and this is what's done sometimes like in the circus. I saw this analogy there. You have this big guy and this little kid, big fat guy was a big strong guy, and you have this little fat little kid, and he starts to beat up the little kid, so the little kid gives him a little kick, and the big guy runs away, right? You know what I'm talking about? You've seen this? Just Simcha, you were the big guy or you were the little guy? Which one were you? anyways, so when this happens, so then the big guy runs away, so the little kid thinks that he can get him, so he goes and he gives him a knock, and the guy like fakes it like he's, like timbering. He gives another one. What? All right, anyway, so you're familiar with this scenario until finally the big guy had enough of this little brat and he clobbers him. Right? That's basically what happens. We're familiar with that scenario. That's called lehit olel. Okay? The big guy is mit olel with the little guy. Okay? So may you like your word abuse? I don't know if the word is abuse is the right word, but he fooled him. He fooled him into this whole thing that what's really going on. And this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did to Paro. What does it show? At the end of the day, Paro thought he was that much greater. And when he gets slammed, that slam is that much more, more important. That makes a much greater feeling for everybody, and that's what's going on in Mitzrayim in the Makkah. It's a very important idea. I said many times. I'll just mention this is important. Your job, Elel HaSeder, is not to say a shtickle Torah. It's not to say divrei Torah at the Elel HaSeder, because, as we say, afilu kulanu chachamim, kulanu nevoinim, kulanu yoidim, still mitzvah leinu l'saper. Why is there a mitzvah to be mesaper on Leil HaSeder? What's the reason why? Some help. Anybody know why? Why do you have to be mesaper Leil HaSeder?
Chinuch, the Surah.
That. What about if it's to yourself?
Also to mechanech and the moshe to yourself.
Also be meiser to yourself. Well, you already know it, so what do you have to be meiser?
You mischazik yourself.
Okay, so but I'm telling, do you know it better after you say it over?
Yes.
So, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I do think, and I'll agree with you maybe, but there's a difference. There's a difference. And Sol Salanter says as follows. Sol Salanter says, what I know over here and what I feel over here are as far apart as what you know in your head and I feel in my heart. We are people of intellect and we are people of emotion. Yediyah, Yediyah, knowing what's going on, that is something intellectual. That's very nice, very wonderful. And if you chazer it, maybe you'll know it a little bit better, maybe. But not much is happening. But when you tell a story, it becomes alive, it becomes exciting, it becomes part of you. Do you know it better? I don't think you know it better. You just live it more. It becomes real. It becomes more part of your life. So you may be a stuffed shirt. You could be a Talmud Chacham. You could say all kinds of Chidushei Torah, but it doesn't get you excited. You're not into it. You're not living it. Afilu kulanu chacham kulanu nevarim kulanu yoidim kol haTorah kula. It doesn't make a difference. Why? Because mitzvah lisaper. The mitzvah Leil HaSeder is to say it over in a sipur, in a story. Have your kids on the edge of their chairs. So if you're coming to the Leil HaSeder to tell them a great gematria or something like that, they'll fall off their chair. They're not going to be where they're supposed to be. You have to say to them something that's going to make them connect. That's your job. So this is very important. The mitzvah of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is not to know it. The mitzvah of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is to live it, to believe it, to feel it. That's what it is. And therefore, when your kids ask the Manishtana and you're going to give them answers, you have to ask them. And I do this many times with Leil HaSeder with my kids. I go around the table and I try to fire up their imaginations. I say, which person do you feel worse for? You know, you have teenagers. Do you feel worse for the men doing the women's jobs or the women doing the men's job? Who do you feel worse for? Which makkah is your favorite makkah and why? You have to get them involved in what's going on. If you're just going to tell them over everything that happened, you're not going to be makayim the mitzvah at all. Now, I'll just
found a word. It was the word made a mockery.
Mockery. Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Is that good? It's not bad. That's for sure. It's better than the one that was used before, abuse.
It gets imagination going.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, you could ask if you have kids that speak English, what does the word mockery mean? But if you have kids that speak Hebrew, you could ask them what does mitolel mean? And this is what it means. You have to explain this idea. That's very good. Okay, maybe we'll use that at my Seder, that word mockery. Anyways, so this is something which is very important. All right. I would like to just mention something about yachatz. We take the middle matzah, we break it in half, and we put away half for the afikomen, and the other one we keep there. So one of the Kabbalists who I had the chus of knowing, he was as a pashut person, who was nifter a few years ago, Rabbi Zundel Kreuzer, he asked the following question. Why do we break the matzah? Why don't we just bring a broken one? Like, think about new questions, right? How dare you answer what?
Get rid of the gaiva.
Get rid of the gaiva. Yafeh. Very nice. Very nice. I was thinking of something similar. That's very nice. I like that very much. And his answer is something, but we're going to get back to your answer to Simcha. His answer is something very, very interesting. He says the answer is we need to have 4 matzahs. Just like everything else is 4, we need to have 4 matzahs. We got to make the 4th matzah. And he has a whole explanation on why you have to make the 4th matzah. But that's a question you could ask your kids. Why is it they have to have? You know, if you would ask me that question, I know very simply. You have to have 2 because you need one to keep on the broken one that you're getting there, and you need 1 to put away. But the truth of the matter is, when I was a kid, I was always wondering about this breaking of the matzah. And a few years ago, I said the following thought. And I think this is a bolster for you to think about before we come to the Leil HaSeder. We take the middle matzah, we break it in half. This is mine. You can't blame this on anybody else. We break it in half. Half we leave there on the Seder plate, but that's the lechem oni. And half we put away for the zecher of the Korban Pesach. It's one thing. Half of it is shibud. Half of it is geula. It's the same matzah. It's not cut out of any different material. They're 2 halves of a whole. So it's a very, very nice thought. And I think that this year, as we prepare for Leil HaSeder, and we think about that we have our I think, as we mentioned before, we're very much in a matzav of we feel that we are locked into our mitzarim, that from this, the other half of this is a mitzvah Shem de Gula. So I believe that you have to have this symbolic idea of that the two things are really part of the same thing. All right. Levi was the smallest of the Shvatim. I want to just tell you something. Chazal tell us the reason why Levi was from the smallest of the Shvatim is because it says in the Pasuk, Kasha Yanu Oisam Ken Yirba Ken Yifroitz. The more that they're going to be abused, we'll use that word now, the more they're going to be abused, so the more they're going to multiply. Levi, who they were not part of the Shibud, so they didn't have that bracha. That's what Chazal say. There's a fascinating idea, question that I had when I was a little kid. The reason why I'm telling you a question as a little kid is because you have little kids by the Seder, so then maybe you could answer the questions that they have. And if not, you may be the little kid by the Seder, and I'll answer a question that you maybe have had. What was Paro thinking when he took this little abandoned boy into his house? What was he thinking? Where do you think he came from? Afghanistan? Where did he come from? Obviously, this is a Jewish kid. And then he sees him, that he has these grand ideas of Gdula, and he puts his finger into the gold, and he has to test him, etc. And there are some Mefarshim that say that Paro was convinced that Moshe Rabbeinu cannot be the Goyel of Klal Yisrael. He knew he was Jewish. He knew he was from Levi. And that's why Paro was so smug that he cannot be the Goyel. Because the Goyel has to be a person who has Shibud. And being that he didn't have the Shibud, he can't be the Goyel. If I'm not mistaken, I saw this on the Chassam Sofer. So he says, but what he didn't know about Moshe was Moshe Rabbeinu used to go out to see Klal Yisrael, the Shibud, and help them. Moshe Rabbeinu lent a hand. He was part of the Shibud. And that's why he was able to be the Goyel. It all comes together. The reason why what?
Rashi אומר שנוסן עינו וליבוי.
נכון. אז הוא חי את זה ממש. So a person who's chai et zeh mamash, he can become part of the geula, part of the shibud. And I mentioned that to this at this point, this idea, Hashem Yirachem Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael Shaloneda l'Shoed l'Shever b'Gvuleinu. There are many people who unfortunately know people that are sick presently, and if you can help them out in any way, Chalila, if there be some gezer on you, sometimes you helping somebody else in that situation could be like that you are in that situation and avert a decree. Okay. We say in the Mishnah of Elazar ben Azariah, I don't know, Bein Bayom, no, it's a mitzvah, look, where does it go? Yom Titzah B'Tzayim Kol Yamecha, Yimei Chayecha Yomim, Kol Yimei Chayecha Haleilos. What is the reason that you would think that it has to be Bayomim or Baleilos? Now, skip the drasha of the Mishnah. What does it mean? They should say it only the day, and you shouldn't say it at night. Maybe you should say it at night, and maybe not say it in the day. What does day and night have to do with Yetzias Mitzrayim? Maybe it should be once a day. What does that do with day and night? Anybody want to answer this question? I'm asking only simple questions, nothing hard over here. Just simple reading. Anyways, so I saw a pshat, which is, I think, very important. We know that we say in Birchas Kriyas Shema, after we say Emes, in the morning we say V'yatziv, and at night we say Emes V'amuna. And I've spoken about this many times. The difference in the day and the night is in the day everything's clear, and at night things are unclear. When it's daytime, and we understand what's going on, we say emes v'yatzim. It's clear to us. When it's nighttime, when we're not clear what's going on around us, unfamiliar environment, so then we say emes v'amuna. We only believe that it's really good, but we don't really feel it. We feel insecure. Yomim refer to the good times when people are productive. Leilos refers to downtime, when people are not able to function properly the way that they would like to. When we left Mitzrayim, we went to collect the Torah, come to Eretz Yisrael, we were in good times. So then it makes sense that at that time, you speak about Yetzias Mitzrayim. But what about Leilos? When we go back into Golus, maybe we're worse off than we were originally. Maybe it's not proper to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim. What?
L'chor should be l'hafach. Why shouldn't you be chayav? The chiv should be when you're in a bad matzav. It should be more obvious when you're in a good matzav. You don't need the chizuk.
Why?
Because
one second. Before we say when should there be more and when not, if you want to be, this is a question. Are we out of it or we're not out of it? Where are we? You understand? This is a serious question. Where are we? I just, the electricity went out of my house, so I guess that's why you can't see me. I don't know, but you hear me, do you? Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, electricity went back on. Okay. Anyways, I guess we're in a war zone.
well timed. Where are we, Rav?
I'm sorry, what?
I said that was a well timed.
Anyway.
Where are we?
Real time?
Well timed.
Well timed, yeah. Where are we? Very good. Okay. Anyways, okay, very nice. Okay. Anyways, the bottom line is that when we are in Golus, so we don't necessarily think that we should feel that we were elevated and we're let out of Mitzrayim. So we say, no, it's important that it's part of our character. Even today, we may be not practicing being the B'nai Melachim that we were, but it's part of who we are, and we're right now just incognito, living here in Golus. But in reality, indeed, we are the B'nai Yisrael that were let out of Mitzrayim, and we're happy with that. All right, I'm going to skip to the end of the Rabbi Gamliel. We can go. I know, just before I'm going to go through underneath. The Tzei Lamad. Yeah, Tzei Lamad. Tzei Lamad. We say, we speak about Lavan that wanted Lakor es Hakol, and Paro just wanted to get the Zcharim. Which is worse? Who's worse?
Lavan.
What?
Lavan.
Okay, so isn't that like funny? Here we are centering on Mitzrayim and saying how bad they were, and we're making them that they're better than Lavan, right? I would answer your answer too, but I don't like that answer. It doesn't fit with the Lela Seder, right?
Okay.
Totally have an answer. I'll just tell you a novel answer which I saw, which is really creepy.
Wasn't it Lavan wanted it? Oh, sorry. I was going to interrupt. Sorry.
Steve, what do you want to say, Brad?
I was going to say that Lavan wanted to destroy all of Bnei Yisrael, but Mitzrayim just wanted to destroy the men.
And therefore, you're on it. You're on it. Let's hear.
Therefore, Lavan was worse. Therefore, he becomes.
Yeah, but the question is, we want Paro to be worse, right? Who's the villain? Who's the master villain of the plot?
That's like the Arabs now. They want to take the Jewish women to bring them over to them. So Paro would have killed the men and taken the women.
And therefore?
Therefore, he would have taken whatever was Jewish and moved it into the Egyptian society.
Okay, all right. We're getting warmer. I'm gonna tell you what
once I saw Pshat that Paro understood that you can't kill all the Jews.
That's it.
That you can't do. So he said, I'm going to kill most of them. I'm going to kill only the men, and the women I'll take to be Egyptian.
Right. No, this is the idea what I saw 100%. Klal Yisrael will never be eradicated. You get rid of all the men, so the women, even if they have children, the children will be Jewish. Klal Yisrael will still exist, but there will be no religious Jews. We could come to a situation where there are no religious Jews. Simcha, you like that?
No,
Right.
no.
No. We don't like it either. That's why we got rid of Paro. We drowned him. Anyways.
He misunderstood what a Bas Yisrael is.
Right? 100%.
helped.
That's the truth of the matter is that we regenerate also. But Paro understood that it's folly to just try to get rid of the men. All right. I just want to say something. I know not much time left over here. Rabbi Gamliel says that we have to eat the matzah. And if someone would ask you, don't look in the Hagadah. I'm going to look in the Hagadah. If someone were to ask you, why is it important to eat matzah? What does matzah signify?
The Hagadah says that we couldn't.
I didn't ask you what the Hagadah says. I said, what do you say?
Mitzvahs.
What?
He said matzah's mitzvahs.
Matzah's mitzvah. You know what I'm saying? But what do you say? Why do we eat matzah?
Yes.
Lechamoni.
Oh, lechamoni, right? Because they didn't have
That's what
time.
it is, right? Lechamoni. This is the poor man's bread. This is the bread of affliction. Look at that, okay, Ari? I got it right. The bread of affliction, right? That's what it is. So, what does it say? Now I'm going to read the Hagadah, and we're going to try to understand. Al shum shelo hispik b'tzeikom shel avoseinu lahachmitz. Because on that fateful night, their bread didn't have a chance to rise. Achenigla aleim melech v'achavachim hakadosh baruch hu shenemar vayofu es habotzek shevitzam gos matzki lechometz. Why? Ki garshu miMitzrayim v'lo yachol lisvameh. They had to leave hastily. Why is it so important to talk about that they had to leave hastily?
Shows
So I
Emunah.
saw.
Shows
How does that-
Emunah. Lech lech achrei b'midbar. They're ready
No,
to follow
they
Hashem
were-
and
they
let's
were-
go.
No, but they were forced out. The eating the bread shows that they didn't have time to leave. They were kicked out, and they couldn't wait for the recipe to be finished.
Because
Why
we were
should
at
that be-
Memtes.
What?
Because we were at Memtes already.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that's true. That's why they had to be kicked out.
Well,
But why do we have to remember? Would it really, our Pesach night would be different if they left at Mem Zion?
no, sometimes if you don't come on time, you miss the boat, right?
No, I understand. So that's what Yechiel's saying. That's true. It could be that you were just explaining right now why they had to be kicked out. They couldn't stay anymore. But why is that what we are trying to delineate? I saw for Goldwasser a very wonderful idea which I'd like to share with you. We know one of the famous questions that your kids will not ask by the Leil HaSeder is that Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned anywhere in the Hagadah. Why is that?
Right.
Why is that? So there's 1,000 answers given to that question. So I'm just going to share with you one. Don't think that it was Moshe Rabbeinu that got you out of Mitzrayim. It was HaKadosh Baruch Hu that got you out of Mitzrayim. Don't think that it was because your tefillas, your tzedakahs, your ma'asim that got you out of Mitzrayim. It was HaKadosh Baruch Hu that got you out of Mitzrayim. Now let's look at what we just read. The reason why we eat the matzah is to tell us the reason why they went on Mitzrayim, and he kicked them out. It had nothing to do with our power. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim as the benevolent Father to help us, but not because it was on our own steam that we left. So it's important to remember how flat we really were, our matzah that we were, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, and that's what we are thankful for on the Leil HaSeder. Okay, still have a little bit of time.
Question.
Just a little
Yeah.
point that in the Hagadah of Pesach, we see that everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and no Moshe Rabbeinu. By
Right.
Megillas Esther, it's the exact opposite. Mordechai and Esther, you hear them back and forth, And you don't see Shem Hashem Bechlal over there, because over there everything was Behester. And by Pesach, everything is Nigle.
Right.
The
Very nice.
Nigle over there, the Nes is Nista.
Very nice. I just want to ask one more question on the Pshat in Hagadah. This just to show, sometimes it's good to have in mind that, you think you know the Hagadah, you learned it so many times, you read it. Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenosan Torah L'Am Yisrael. What does that mean? When you're going to ask your kids sometime during the Hagadah, whoever's at the Seder with together with you, the following question, and I think that it'll spur on a important conversation. Why were we taken out of Mitzrayim?
I'm schooler.
Promise Avrohom, Avinu.
Okay. All those things are true, and I'm not going to disagree with them. I'll just give you a hint. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Moshe?
Ta'avdu Nes Elokim.
The purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim was Matan Torah. We didn't go out to have freedom. We went out to have freedom. But there's different kinds of freedom. We went out to go into the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and accept the Torah. Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenosan Torah L'Am Yisrael. There's a progression over here. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Chishev es Haketz, so we should get out, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to accept the Torah. We wouldn't have gotten the Torah. And the purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim was Tavlu L'Kim Ha'arazeh, and eventually go into Eretz Yisrael and have the Olam HaTikun. The purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim is that we should become free men in order to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All right, I think we'll stop over here. Thank you all very much.
What's the pshat in Dayenu? Dayenu, Ilu Otzionu Mitzrayim, Dayenu. Why is that? That's more of a...
Well, I'm not sure I know what question you're asking. You want to know what the word is Dayenu, or why is each one enough?
Why is it enough? Why isn't enough Ilu Otzionu Mitzrayim? Why would it be enough?
Without Torah.
Oh, so that's the
It also says Kirvanu v'lo nasan lanu.
Okay,
those are
Klal Yisrael, when they came to Har Sinai, even without receiving the Torah, their connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu was elevated to a level which is much greater even than receiving the Torah itself. Not only that, we sat at the Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu already was able to legislate and add another day. There was a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu besides the bris of Torah itself. We came to, when did we get the Torah, by the way? The day after, right?
Went to Rabbi Yosef.
Right. That's basically what it has to do with. And I just mentioned, since you're discussing the Dayenu, something that I saw this year, I also have to prepare for the Seder. What is the big deal about eating the man? And what about HaKadosh Baruch Hu just like sent us slav? So I'll just tell you, I heard from our yeshiva once, medrash, which I never bothered to find because it just sounds so good. It just probably just is like that, the way he says it, that whatever happened to Moshe happened to Eliyahu. Moshe Rabbeinu went to Shemayim and he didn't eat for 40 days. Eliyahu ate once and then he lived 40 days on that achila. Okay? We ate man, and the pasuk in Tehillim tells us the man is the lechem for malachim. I don't know what that means exactly.
No?
Right, you're right. That's right. That's machlokes rishonim, but right, correct. But echsho eating the man brought Klal Yisrael onto a different level of kedusha. Even though being on another level of kedusha is just facilitates even more, but in its own right, it is also a skarbus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what that was what part of the purpose. Okay, shall have a good night. I hope you enjoyed it, and your sidarim should not only should you be enthused, you should be able to enthuse all of those around you. And we should be Zeichel Lechab and Azrachim and Apsachim. And the matzahs that were baked for our shul, should all be trashed for Leil HaSeder, because Mashiach should come and we should be B'Kedusha with Tahira, and those matzahs were made B'Tumah. So we're not looking for Tumah Hitra B'Tzibur. I think we can maybe work something out. All right.
Good news. 500 shekels for each kid for the holiday now. Just new Zera.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, whoever did the shul background. Whoever arranged for the looks better.
It's good. I feel like I'm right.
Pashat Sav. Okay.
Gives us a long game.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right.